sure you're probably tired of answering tempo questions about the offense of Tennessee, but is there anything that you guys have done in the past that compares to this, or anything you do differently this week to prepare for what you already know is going to happen as far as tempo?
No, I mean, we obviously the guys that were around last year, played in that game and understand, what kind of speed you're about to face, and the intensity that you have to play with, the focus that you have to play with every snap. You have to get off the ground. You got to get the signal, reset your feet, and get ready to go again. And there's nothing you can do to simulate it. Everybody tries to do different things, and you try to get as close as you can, but until you get in the game, you just got to settle in, absorb those early blows. We like to be better than we were, there against Ole Miss. We did it okay on the first drive, but then the next two drives obviously went for scores. We got to try to have a little bit faster start down there. Try to, as much as you can, keep the crowd out of it, but they're going to be excited and in it, and it's going to be a heck of an environment.
We're talking Monday about, at some point you got to realize they're going to get some plays. How do you coach your guys to not get bogged down by those, to come back to the next play or whatever?
Yeah, I mean we've talked about it, all week, that listen, they're the #1 offense right now in the country for a reason, and you're not just going in there to just completely shut it down. I mean, they're going to make their plays, and you have to try to minimize, the length, the distance, the sting, of those as much as you can. But when they make them, you can't put your head down. You just got to put them behind you and think of it just like, hey, you know what? They made a play. I've got to go make a play back. And it's going to be like a heavyweight bout. There's going to be a punch, and it's going to just keep going back and forth. At the end of the day, we're just going to have to just punch until the end and see what happens.
Yesterday, Will said that he watched a lot of the game from last year, and to get ready for this game Saturday. What has the defense done? What sticks out to you as far as from last year to this year?
Well, obviously we didn't play great, in spurts, especially early of that game last year. It was sort of the opposite of starting fast. So, yeah, I mean, you watch it. Just like any opponent you play, you watch the previous year, take the good, the bad, the really ugly out of it, and then you try to grow from it. Obviously, they've done some things, and they continue to morph their offense, and that's why they're so productive right now. So I think everybody evaluates themselves in the off season, and you grow from that. And so nothing out of the ordinary in terms of game plan prep and how we're going about it.
There are wide receivers that talks about how close they line up to the sidelines, creating all that space. What kind of problems does that present for a secondary?
Well, it creates a lot of isolation, it allows them to see a little bit of what you're in. There's no hiding, there's no disguising. You're a little bit of an open book when you get spread out that way, and so it becomes a lot of one-on-one matchups, and guys are going to have to win those. In certain situations we can get certain guys protections on certain downs, but unless the rules have changed, I don't think I can help double everybody. I don't think we're going to be allowed to play with 11. So we're just going to have to manipulate it, in certain downs and distances. And guys are going to have to play. They're going to have to win one-on-ones. They're going to have to win one-on-ones up front. They're going to have to take on blockers and shock and shed. We talk a lot about the secondary, but a lot of this game's going to be determined there in the trenches, and our guys are going to have to play really good up there.
Brett, playing off John's question there, why don't you see more teams that kind of spread like they do? Is it their personnel that allows them to really pull that off so well?
Yeah, I think a lot of it it's what system you sort of grew up in. I think there are a fair amount of teams that have, some play with extreme tempo, some play with extreme splits, some do both. So everybody just sort of finds their identity, and this is their identity, and it's really explosive when you have, you know, the number of quality athletes that they have. When they have big, long, fast receivers, and they've got a physical O-line, and they got a quarterback that's playing and operating, you know, at a Heisman-like efficiency rate. And so you put all those things together, you know, into one pot, and you know, you've got a #1 offense.
Jalen Hyatt was not their receiver that everybody was talking about going into the year. What do you just see from him on film that's made him so successful?
You see a guy that's budding with confidence right now. You know, with every game, with every reception, with every touchdown, you see confidence, and you see a connection between him and the quarterback, and you see him playing. You know, his speed level, his tempo level increases, and he's always been a good wide receiver. Even back to 2 years ago, you know, when we were down there, you could just see it when he was just a youngin'. And then last year he really started to emerge, and then this year he's taken off. So, no, really talented player that can find holes. You know, he's got really long arms, so it provides a big catch radius. And so then you put a big catch radius and open space with speed together, and, you know, good things happen for them.
Brad, you mentioned the defensive line, they have to play well. Is there more onus or more responsibility on them this week because they're spread so far out, so maybe they don't have the help, I guess, in the run game behind them? Or is it just, are they in a lot of one-on-ones like they are, like, you know, you are outside because of, I guess, numbers?
Well, you know, it's a little bit of both, you know, in terms of you need to be able to affect the quarterback. You know, some of these routes are deeper developing routes, and it takes a little bit of time, and you know, they're gonna need to affect that pocket. If it's just a clean pocket where it turns into a 7-on-7 game, I don't know if there's any secondary in the country that can just sort of sit there and hang with that. So no, it's going to be a big onus on them to, one, limit the run, stop the run, and then, you know, what Hooker's done so well, you know, is create plays, you know, sort of off schedule, and his scrambles have created some really big momentum shifters, and so they're going to have to do a good job of, you know, understanding where he is in the pocket and how he moves around, and if he escapes, we've got to get him to the ground. So, you know, a 5-yard scramble isn't 42 yards.
How much do you, like you mentioned, you're #1 in so many categories. How much do you sense from your guys that, hey, we want this challenge, we want to show what we can do against this caliber of offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think our guys are ready for the challenge. You know, you don't know what happens, you know, until the game's played, but I think they've prepped for it. They understand the quality of the opponent that we're about to play. There's no underselling. There's no, you know, they understand, you know, the task that we have ahead of them. But they are not afraid, and they're going to come out and they're going to play fast, you know, and you know, we'll see what happens from there.
Does it help that some of those guys over on your side of the ball have been in that stadium and won there, even though different circumstances, different offense? But
yeah, you know, and it's funny, in different situation, right? You know, COVID, you know, it was the capacity in there was not what it's going to be on Saturday night under the light. It was during the day. But yes, I think, hey, listen, you sort of have that, you know, at the time, the monkey on, you know, but I think, yeah, I think we're not thinking about anything but being the best version of ourselves. And we know that we've gone into tough environments. We know that, you know, when we went down to Florida, you know, not many people were counting us, you know, as a defense that could hang with them much. And so yeah, I think there's a little bit of a chip, and I think it's going to be a really good battle.
Everybody good?